The ship moved through space like a silver needle. Inside, Ambassador Park sat near the window and watched the stars pass by. She had made this journey many times before. The trip to Nexus Prime usually felt normal, but today something felt different. Something felt wrong. Admiral sat across from her. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had served in the defense fleet for 30 years. He had seen many things, but even he looked worried today. "They did not tell us why," said quietly. "The message only said we must come, immediately." Nodded slowly. When the council says immediately, they mean obey. They always mean obey. Looked at her hands. She had been ambassador for 15 years. She had smiled at aliens who looked down on her. She had bowed her head when they insulted her people. She had stayed calm when they laughed at human ideas. This was her job, to keep peace, to keep humanity safe. But she was tired, so very tired. The ship arrived at Nexus Prime 3 hours later. The station was enormous. It floated in space like a metal flower with 1,000 petals. Ships from 100 worlds came and went. Lights blinked everywhere. It was beautiful in a cold way. And walked through the long hallways. Other species passed them. Some were tall with scales. Some were short with many arms. Some floated instead of walking. None of them looked at the two humans. Humans were not important enough to notice. They reached the grand chamber. It was a massive room with seats rising up like stairs on all sides. Representatives from the 12 elder species sat in their places. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had seen empires rise and fall. To them, humanity was just a young child who had recently learned to walk. High Arbiter stood at the center. He was a species with pale blue skin and 4 eyes. His voice was deep and cold like winter wind. "Humans," he said. He did not greet them. He did not welcome them. He simply named them like objects. Bowed her head slightly. "High Arbiter, we came as requested. How may we serve the council?" Made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You will serve as you have always served, by obeying." He raised one long hand. A hologram appeared in the air. It showed human colonies, human ships, human stations, all marked in red. "The council has decided," announced. "Directive 7 is now active. All human military forces will be placed under council command. All human colonies will accept council governors. All human technology development will require council approval." Felt her heart stop for a moment. She looked at. His face had turned to stone. "May I ask why?" said carefully. "Humanity has followed every law. We have paid every tax. We have fought in every war the council asked us to fight. We have done everything right." Looked at her with all 4 eyes. "You have done everything we allowed you to do, but you grow too fast. You spread too far. You create too much. This makes other species nervous. The council has decided to slow you down, for your own good." For your own good. Had heard those words before. When her grandmother was young, powerful nations on Earth had said the same thing to weaker ones. It never ended well. "How long do we have to respond?" asked. His voice was flat. 30 cycles, said. "You will open your borders. You will hand over your ships. You will accept our governors. This is not negotiable." Took a deep breath. She had been trained to smile. She had been trained to agree. She had been trained to keep peace at any cost, but some costs were too high. "And if we refuse?" she asked. The chamber went silent. No one had ever asked that question before. Junior species did not refuse. Junior species obeyed. Stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was an ugly sound. "You cannot refuse," he said slowly, like speaking to a stupid child. "This is not a request. This is not a discussion. This is authority. The council has spoken. You will comply. If you do not, there will be corrective measures." Corrective measures. Such clean words for such dirty things. Looked around the chamber. She saw the representatives of 12 species. Some looked bored. Some looked amused. None looked concerned. To them this was simple. Humans would obey because humans had always obeyed. What else could they do? She thought about her daughter back on Earth. She thought about children playing in parks. She thought about scientists dreaming of new stars. She thought about artists painting sunsets. She thought about farmers growing food. She thought about all the ordinary people who just wanted to live their lives. The council wanted to put chains on all of them, not chains of metal, chains of control, chains of permission, chains that would slowly squeeze the life out of everything humanity could become. Looked at, he gave her a tiny nod, so small that no one else saw it. Humanity had been preparing for this moment, not for war, something else, something the council could never expect. "We understand," said softly. "We will bring your message to our people." Smiled with satisfaction. "Good, we knew you would be reasonable." And turned and walked out of the chamber. Their footsteps echoed in the silence. Behind them, the council returned to other business. The human matter was settled, or so they thought. On the ship home finally spoke, "So it begins." Looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there humanity waited, humanity hoped, humanity prepared. "Yes," she said quietly, "it begins." The Parliament building in Geneva was old. It had stood for 300 years. Kings had spoken here. Presidents had argued here. Wars had ended here. But tonight was different. Tonight would change everything. President Lee stood at the center of the Great Hall. He was not a tall man, but he stood straight. His black hair was turning gray at the edges. His eyes were calm but serious. Around him, representatives from every human world watched through hologram screens. Mars, Europa, Titan, the asteroid colonies, the distant stations. Everyone was here. "You have all heard the news," said. His voice was steady. "The Council has issued Directive 7. They want our ships. They want our colonies. They want control over everything we create. They want to decide our future for us." The hall was silent. No one moved. Councilwoman Bay from the Mars Collective stood up. She was a small woman with short gray hair and sharp eyes. Her family had lived on Mars for 5 generations. They had turned red dust into green gardens. They had built cities from nothing. "For 200 years we bent," she said. "We followed their rules, we paid their taxes, we smiled when they insulted us, we waited for respect that never came." She paused and looked around the room. "They see our patience as weakness. They see our kindness as fear. If we bend again, we will break." Defense Minister stepped forward. He was a heavy man with a soldier's bearing. He carried a data pad in his thick hands. "I must tell you something," he said. "Something that has been secret for 80 years. The representatives leaned forward, even raised an eyebrow. Activated the data pad. A hologram appeared above the hall. It showed ships, not the ships the council knew about. Different ships, faster, stronger, more advanced. "Project Exodus," said. "For 80 years, our best scientists have been working in secret. We built new engines that can travel faster than anything the council has. We found hidden paths through space that no one else knows. We established colonies in regions the council thinks are empty." Whispers spread through the hall. "The council believes they know everything about us," continued. "They are wrong. They know what we showed them. They never looked deeper. They never thought we were smart enough to hide anything." A representative from Titan raised his hand. "Are you suggesting we fight? We cannot win a war against 12 elder species." Shook his head. "No, fighting would destroy us. I am suggesting something else, something they will never expect." He pressed another button. A map appeared. It showed known space. Then it zoomed out, far out, to regions marked as void, empty, impossible. "These areas," said, "are not empty. We have been building there for decades. Stations, farms, factories, schools, hospitals, everything a civilization needs. The council does not know these places exist." President looked at the map. His heart beat fast, but his face stayed calm. "You are suggesting we leave," he said quietly. "Yes," replied. Not as refugees, not as defeated people, as free people choosing their own path. We take everything that is ours. We leave behind everything that is not. We close the door and walk away. Councilwoman Bay stood again. And what message does that send? That we are cowards, that we ran away. No, said a new voice. Everyone turned. Ambassador Park had entered the hall. She looked tired from her journey, but her eyes were bright. It sends a different message, she said. It says we do not need them. It says we never needed them. It says we can build our own future without their permission. That is not running away. That is walking toward something better. She moved to the center of the room and stood beside the president. The council thinks we are children, she continued. Children cannot leave. Children must obey, but we are not children. We are a people who crossed oceans. We are a people who reached the stars. We are a people who never stopped dreaming, even when the universe told us to stop. The room was silent for a long moment. Then President spoke. We will vote every human colony, every station, every ship. This decision belongs to all of us. The voting took 1 hour. Representatives consulted their people. Messages flew across space at the speed of light. Billions of humans spoke their minds. When the count finished, the result appeared on every screen. Unanimous. Not a single world voted to stay under council control. Not one. Felt tears in his eyes, but he did not let them fall. He looked at his people, his beautiful, stubborn, hopeful people. Then it is decided, he said. We will go, not in anger, not in fear. We will go because we deserve better. We will go because our children deserve better. We will go because the stars are wide and freedom is worth more than safety. He turned to his communications officer. Send the signal to every ship, every colony, every outpost, every human everywhere. The officer nodded and pressed a single button. Across the galaxy, devices beeped. Messages arrived. 2 words appeared on screens everywhere. Protocol farewell. In homes on Earth, families began to pack. On Mars, ships powered up their engines. On distant stations, workers shut down machines they had operated for years. In council space, human merchants quietly closed their shops. The great departure had begun. And the council did not even notice. On the trade world the morning sun rose orange and warm. The market streets were waking up. Alien merchants opened their shops. Customers began to walk between the colorful stalls. Everything seemed normal. O stood in front of her family's shop. It was a small place that sold earth spices and foods. Her great-great-grandfather had opened it 120 years ago. 4 generations of her family had worked here. She knew every corner, every shelf, every crack in the old wooden counter. Her neighbor was unnamed. He had run the fabric shop next door for as long as could remember. He was grumpy and complained a lot, but he was honest. Sometimes they shared tea in the evenings and talked about nothing important. You are up early, called out. His 4 eyes blinked in the morning light. Smiled at him. It was a real smile, but also a sad one. I wanted to see the sunrise. It is beautiful today. Made a grunting sound. The sunrise is the same every day. What is different about today? Did not answer. She just kept smiling. By noon, the human quarter was empty. Every shop closed. Every home abandoned. The humans left no mess. They took only what belonged to them. They left money to pay any debts. Some left gifts for their neighbors. Left a box of earth tea with a small note. It was good knowing you, truly. Found the box an hour later. He stood in the empty street and looked around with confusion. Where did everyone go? The same scene happened across the galaxy. On the border world of Axis 12, Commander gathered her soldiers at dawn. They were a small garrison. Only 300 humans guarding a station that watched the edge of Council space. Council observers watched from nearby ships. They expected trouble. They had heard rumors that humans were unhappy with Directive 7. They thought might fight. They had weapons ready. Instead gave a simple order: pack everything, leave nothing behind, be ready to move in 6 hours. Her soldiers worked fast and quiet. They took down their flags, they collected their equipment, they cleaned their quarters until they were spotless. A council observer named landed his ship and approached. He was a species with green skin and too many teeth. His smile was meant to be friendly, but it looked hungry. Commander said, "What is happening here? Are you preparing for battle?" Looked at him with calm eyes. "No, we are leaving." Blinked. "Leaving where?" "Away," said simply. "But the council ordered you to stay. Directive 7 requires all human military to remain in place until—" "We received different orders," interrupted, "from our own people." Sputtered in confusion. "You cannot just leave. This is council space. You have duties, obligations." Smiled slightly. "We have one obligation to our own kind. Goodbye, observer. I hope your people find happiness." 6 hours later, the garrison was gone. The station stood empty and clean. No damage, no mess, just silence. At Nexus Prime, High Arbiter received reports throughout the day. Humans leaving trade worlds, humans abandoning stations, humans closing businesses, humans everywhere simply walking away. "This is some kind of protest," told the other council members. "They are being dramatic. They will return when they realize they have nowhere to go." But Ambassador Park requested one final audience with the council. She arrived alone, dressed in simple clothes. She carried no data pads, no documents, just herself. The council members watched her with amusement. Some looked bored, some looked annoyed, none looked worried. Stood in the center of the great chamber, she looked smaller than before, older, but her voice was strong. "I bring humanity's formal response to Directive 7, she said. Leaned forward. "Good, speak your acceptance." Took a breath. "You declared authority over us. We acknowledge your declaration. We understand that you believe you have the right to control our future. We understand that you see us as lesser beings who must be managed." She paused and looked around the chamber. "We disagree," she continued. "But we will not argue, we will not fight, we will simply leave. We never truly belonged here, we know that now. We smiled and bowed and hoped that one day you would see us as equals. That day never came, it never will." Laughed coldly. "And where will you go? The galaxy is ours, every useful system is claimed, you have nowhere to run." Smiled. It was a strange smile, peaceful, almost pitying. "The galaxy is very large," she said softly. "Much larger than you think, much larger than you have explored. We found places you never looked, places you thought were worthless, places that are now home." The chamber went quiet. "You gave us 200 years," continued. 200 years to learn, to grow, to prepare. You thought we were wasting that time following your rules. You were wrong. We were getting ready. Ready for this moment. Ready to say goodbye." She bowed her head slightly, not in submission, in farewell. "We hold no anger," she said. "We wish you no harm. We simply choose a different path. Thank you for the lessons you taught us. Thank you for showing us that we can only count on ourselves. Goodbye, Council. May you find whatever it is you are looking for." She turned and walked away. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. Within 3 days, human presence in Council space dropped by 94%. Ships vanished into regions of space the Council had never mapped. Colonies went dark. Communication channels closed. Humanity was gone. And the Council finally began to worry. 2 years passed. The galaxy changed. On the great station of Nexus Prime, lights flickered in corridors that used to shine bright. Machines made strange sounds. Pipes leaked. Doors stuck when they should have opened smoothly. Chief engineer of the stood in front of a broken power unit. He had studied engineering for 50 years. He had built ships. He had designed stations. But this power unit defeated him completely. "I do not understand," he muttered. The design makes no sense. These parts should not work together, but somehow they did work for decades. His assistant looked worried. The humans built this section. They had some method we never learned. Kicked the broken machine in frustration. Why did we never ask them how it worked? Why did we never care? Across the galaxy, similar problems appeared. They controlled the great shipyards of Sector 9. For centuries, they had built the finest vessels in known space, but their ships kept failing. Engines burned out too quickly. Navigation systems gave wrong directions. Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship and screamed at his engineers. What is wrong with these ships? Our ancestors built vessels that lasted 1,000 years. An old engineer named stepped forward. His green skin had faded with age. He spoke carefully. Admiral, for the past century, human engineers helped maintain our shipyards. They suggested small improvements. We thought they were minor. We were wrong. What do you mean? Demanded. They fixed problems we never noticed. They improved systems we thought were perfect. We did not write down what they did. We did not think it mattered. Now they are gone, and their knowledge is gone with them. The trade route suffered too. Humans had run small merchant ships between distant worlds. These routes were not important by themselves, but they connected places that had no other connections. Now those places were cut off. They were a proud warrior species. They did not need trade. They took what they wanted, but even they felt the change. Their enemies had grown bold. Small attacks became bigger attacks. Border disputes became small wars. Commander Thresh studied battle reports with growing concern. Why are they attacking now? They feared us for generations. Her advisor checked old records. Commander, I found something strange. For the past 60 years, human diplomats met secretly with both our species. They carried messages. They warned of dangers. They helped prevent conflicts before they started. Thresh stared at the reports. We never asked them to do this. We never knew. No, her advisor agreed. They just did it because they wanted peace. Now there is no one to carry messages, no one to calm tensions. The old hatreds are waking up. On Nexus Prime, High Arbiter faced growing criticism. The council met more often now. The meetings were angry. You said they would come back, representative of the shouted. You said they had nowhere to go. 2 years and they are still gone. Kept his face calm, but his 4 eyes showed worry. We have sent scouts to find them. The search continues. Your scouts find nothing, another representative yelled. Empty space, cold trails, it is like chasing ghosts. A young named Bren raised his hand. He was new to the council. He still believed in truth. May I speak? He asked. The chamber quieted. Young rarely spoke. I have been studying records, Bren said. Old records, records we never bothered to look at. I found something important. He activated a hologram. Lists appeared, names, dates, events. This is a list of crises the council faced in the past 200 years, Bren explained. Trade disputes, border conflicts, technical failures, disease outbreaks, 237 serious problems. He pressed a button. More information appeared next to each crisis. In 209 of these cases, humans helped solve the problem. They did not ask for credit. They did not demand payment. They just helped, quietly, without expecting anything in return. The chamber was silent. We did not lose servants, Bren said quietly. We did not lose junior species to be managed. We drove away partners, allies, friends, and we never even noticed what they gave us because we were too proud to look. Stood slowly. What are you suggesting, Young? That we apologize, that we admit we were wrong? Bren met his eyes. I am suggesting that we think about what we have become. We called ourselves wise. We called ourselves ancient. We called ourselves superior. But wisdom is not about age. It is about learning. And we refused to learn anything from humanity because we thought they had nothing to teach. He turned off the hologram. Now they are gone, and we are learning how much we needed them, but the lesson comes too late. The council had no answer. For the first time in 1,000 years, the elder species of the galaxy felt something unfamiliar. They felt small. Somewhere in the void, beyond the maps, beyond the known, humanity built a new life. They planted gardens on worlds the council called worthless. They raised children who had never bowed to anyone. They looked at the stars and saw possibility instead of limits. They did not hate the council. They did not want revenge. They simply moved forward. And the council was left behind. 5 years after the departure, a council exploration ship drifted into unknown space. Its mission was simple: find the humans, find out where they went, report back. Captain of the did not expect to find anything. His crew had been searching for months. They found only empty systems, dead rocks, cold darkness. The humans had vanished completely. Then his sensors detected something impossible. "Captain," his navigator said with a shaking voice, "there is a planet ahead. It has cities, forests, oceans, and the signals we are receiving are human." Stared at the screen. The planet was beautiful, green and blue like Earth in the old pictures, but this region of space was supposed to be void, empty. Nothing should survive here. "Take us closer," he ordered. As they approached, more details appeared. Ships moved in organized patterns. Space stations orbited peacefully. Communication signals filled the air with music and laughter and ordinary conversation. A message came through their communications system. A human face appeared on the screen. A woman with calm eyes and short dark hair. "Council vessel," she said. "This is commander of the new Soul Colony. You have entered human space. Please state your intentions." Struggled to find words. We are explorers. We came to find you. The council wants to know where you went." Smiled slightly. "Now you know. Would you like to come down? We can talk face to face. We have tea." 2 hours later stood on the surface of the planet. He could not believe his eyes. The colony was advanced, more advanced than anything he had seen before. Buildings rose gracefully toward the sky. Gardens bloomed with flowers from 100 worlds. Children played in parks while their parents watched with peaceful smiles. But it was not just technology that surprised him. It was the feeling of the place. There was no fear here, no tension. No one looked over their shoulder. No one worried about saying the wrong thing. Walked beside him through the main city. "This is New Seoul," she said. "We founded it 6 years ago. But there are dozens more colonies like this. Millions of humans now live in the void expanse." Hao asked. "The council mapped this region. It was empty, lifeless." "The council mapped it from far away," explained. "They saw nothing useful and moved on. They never looked closely. We did. We found worlds with potential. We found resources the council overlooked. We found places where we could build homes." They stopped at a park where children were playing a game with a ball. Their laughter filled the air. "This is what we wanted," said softly. "Not conquest, not power, just a place where our children could grow up free, where they would never be told they were lesser, where they could dream without limits." Watched the children. Something in his chest felt tight. He thought about children. They were taught from birth that they were superior. They learned to look down on other species. They never played with anyone different from themselves. These human children looked happy in a way children never did. "The council sent me to find you," said slowly. "They want to know if you will come back." Shook her head. "No, we will not return to being servants. We will not accept chains again. This is our home now." "Then what do I tell them?" Reached into her bag and pulled out a data chip. "Tell them this. It contains star charts to uninhabited systems they can colonize, agricultural techniques that could help their struggling worlds, medical advances we have made in the past 5 years. We share these freely." Took the chip with trembling hands. "Why, after everything the council did to you, Why would you give them gifts? Looked at the sky. The sun was setting, painting the clouds orange and pink. Because this is who we are, she said. We were not angry when we left. We were sad. We wanted friendship and received only commands. We wanted partnership and received only control. But hate would poison us. Revenge would make us into something we do not want to be. She turned back to him. We closed a door, but we did not lock it. If the Council ever wants to meet us as equals, not as masters and subjects, but as neighbors sharing the same galaxy, we will be here. Until then, we wish them well. Goodbye was never meant to be forever. It was just meant to be the end of what was wrong. Returned to his ship that night. His crew asked him 1,000 questions. He answered none of them. He simply sat in his cabin and thought about everything he had seen. When he returned to Nexus Prime, he gave the data chip to High Arbiter. The message from humanity was read to the entire council. We harbor no grudge. We closed a door, but we did not lock it. If you ever wish to meet us as equals, you know where to find us. Until then, we wish you well. Goodbye was never meant to be forever. Stood in silence for a long time. He thought about his life. He thought about all the species the council had controlled. He thought about how easy it had been to give orders, how hard it was to show respect. They are better than us, he said finally. His voice was quiet, old, tired. We took everything from them and they responded with kindness. What does that make us? No one answered. The chamber remained silent. 10 years after humanity said goodbye, the first council delegation traveled to the edge of human space. They came not with demands, not with weapons, not with authority. They came with an invitation, just to talk, just to listen, just to try. Ambassador Park, now old with white hair and wrinkled hands but still standing straight, met them at the border. Behind her, the lights of human colonies sparkled like diamonds against the darkness. Welcome, she said simply. Her smile was warm. We have been waiting. The delegation leader, a young named Bren, bowed his head, not in submission, in respect. We have much to learn, he said. Will you teach us? Looked at the stars. So many stars, so much possibility, so much future still to write. Yes, she said, let us begin. And in that moment, something new was born. Not an empire, not a hierarchy, something gentler, something better. A true partnership between species who finally saw each other clearly. The galaxy would never be the same. But this time, that was a good thing.